Hello, everyone, and welcome to our podcast. I'm Dani, and today Pray.com talks with Kevin Tosi, the operation manager of Missouri River Relief. If you haven't heard of it yet, the Missouri River Relief mission is to engage individuals and communities along the Missouri River in exploration, enjoyment, restoration, and care of the river through cleanups, education programs, and recreation. Before we begin, remember, if you're new here to this podcast, press subscribe on YouTube or in your podcast app. Hi, Kevin, and welcome.
Hi, Danny. Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure. I'm really looking forward to learn more about you, about the organization, and of course, about the river as well. But
Yeah,
let's begin with you. Tell us
sure.
about your story and how did you get involved in that?
That's a great question. Kind of in my earlier 20s, I spent a lot of time like in the service industry, and once I got tired with that, I actually went to Columbia, Missouri, to get a degree in forestry at the School of Natural Resources. And while I was there, I joined a group called Sustain Mizzou, and they had this kind of annual cleanup with this crazy organization called Missouri River Relief. Through that volunteering opportunity, I met the staff at Missouri River Relief and participated in my first cleanup. And then I volunteered for about 2 years, going to a lot of their cleanups and education programs. And then right after I graduated, I found myself with a full-time position with Missouri River Relief, and I've been here for almost 5 years.
Wow, that's really incredible.
Yeah,
I love it. I love when things work out that way.
I know. I was very lucky and very fortunate in that way.
Well, and but as far as I know, I think the Missouri River is like the largest one in the US, right? And the most
Yeah,
important one. Could you share
right.
a bit more context about that so we can all learn more?
Yeah, sure. Like you said, the Missouri River is the longest river in North America. It's about 2,341 miles. It drains over 500,000 square miles of the United States. So that includes 10 states and a small portion of Canada as well. This river is a huge artery for the United States. There's a lot of main purposes of the river, including recreation, drinking water. Of course, the Army Corps balances other things for flood control, agricultural purposes, and of course, protection of fisheries and wildlife as well.
Wow, it's really major, and it's so important for us to fully understand this, that it's not, we're not just talking about a local river, right? We're fully
Right.
thinking about different communities that can benefit from it being protected, its environment being also in balance, right?
Yeah. And we're talking about, also a historically significant river as well. It has a really deep history. And also, we're talking about a huge engineering project as well. The river we know today is highly engineered. The original intention was to support barge traffic. And now, it went from the super wide, shallow river with a lot of sand, beaches, and snags to kind of a more narrow river that's designed to really move water through, dredge itself out, and support barge traffic as well. So it's changed a lot over the years, and it has a lot of deep history. We could have a podcast just on that, probably.
I can imagine that, absolutely. But now trying to understand more about what you do, there was one phrase that I got from your website, which I loved very much. That is the Missouri River Relief started as an idea and became a community. And the way that you told us about your path to get there, it's truly this. It's truly about engagement with people. So I
Yeah.
would love to know more about a little bit about the history and about the programs that you have running right now.
Yeah. That is one of the things that makes Missouri River Relief so just important and just unique. Also, we have this really awesome group of core volunteers that we call our crew, and a lot of these folks are have been there from the beginning. These are people who pick up and travel with us across the state and to additional states to host large scale cleanup events. The community within Missouri River Relief is just so important, just warm, inviting. It's definitely what brought me to the organization in the first place, and what's kept me here so long, and all the volunteers that we have still to this day. But yeah, it started out in 2001 after an organization called Well, Chad Progracki, he has his organization, Living Lands and Waters, and their cleanup model is a little different from ours. They have, this huge rolling barge that they do a lot of the major rivers in North America, these huge cleanup events. Well, they hosted one in Easley, Missouri, and that kind of sparked this idea. So it kind of started with, a small group of people around a picnic table who were passionate about the Missouri River, and it kind of grew rapidly from there. And that really has spawned all these different events, that we still do today. And we've really created these three different kind of pillars within Missouri River Relief. We have education, which really teaches people about the Missouri River. We have our stewardship programs, which intertwine stewardship and, like, boots on the ground action to kind of see the issues that we're dealing with and kind of bring that, to the forethought of people who are coming to our events. And then we have recreation. So a lot of paddling races, and things just to connect people to the Missouri River, to bring them out and experience the river that a lot of times people don't give a second thought. It's one of those rivers that you drive over every day, but maybe don't necessarily think about paddling on the Missouri River or what this river truly means to the city that you're a part of as well.
Oh, I love to hear you say those things. First, because I do believe that there is a lot of power in community getting organized and trying to fix their locals, their homes and the nature around it. And I strongly believe that this is the only path that we can move forward, because if we're going to fight like big corporations, we need a lot of people getting together, right? And
Definitely.
do you see this transformation on your community in the way that they relate with the river now after, all this effort?
Yeah, the cleanups are unique in the way that, our cleanups kind of invite people who are already kind of interested in doing some stewardship, or they've kind of always thought about it, and they kind of already have that itch. But where I've really seen the biggest transformation in my time at Missouri River Relief has really been the recreation. We now are part of, the longest continuous river race in the world called the MR 340. And that brings out so many people who wouldn't normally, go out and experience the Missouri River. And seeing that connection over time, you're paddling in this 340-mile river race, from Kansas City to St. Charles across the entire state of Missouri. And there's just no way you're not going to fall in love with the river during that time. So we've really kind of seen a lot of those people who started out in recreation now attending our stewardship events and helping out with our education as well. So that's been really transformative. But with our cleanups alone, we have a ton of repeat offenders. People are always coming back for more. It's a lot more fun than it sounds. Picking up trash is, on paper maybe doesn't sound the best, but we make it really fun. These are boat-based cleanup. We're putting people on boats. We're ferrying people, across a 10-mile stretch of river, to go to these trash locations. So, we're really trying to engage people in all the aspects. And our mission is by design a little vague, connecting people to the Missouri River. That's the overarching mission. And we're able to do that with these different programs. Like, trash is kind of the vehicle to get people out on the river to work towards caring for it and learning to appreciate it more. So we really have a great model for connecting people to the Missouri River and creating that sense of community on the Missouri River in Missouri and other states that we work in as well. Omaha, Nebraska, Council Bluffs, Iowa. We've done a couple out in Yankton, South Dakota, and just all across the state.
Wow. I've got to say that I find it interesting that you said the mission is a little vague and all of that. But when I understand what you said now. But when I read it, I didn't think of it at all. I'd actually thought, okay, connecting people, it's truly a great word to use it, because that's truly what you're doing. You're literally taking people and putting them on the river and saying, hey, this is yours too.
Exactly.
Own
exactly
it.
right. Exactly.
Yeah.
We want everybody to feel that, this is your river also. Come and appreciate it with us.
Yeah, this is massive. And Kevin, tell me more about this educational programs that you have. I believe that you have a lot of learning opportunities in this, and I really want to know more about it. Tell us.
Yeah. The educational programs at Missouri River Relief are huge, and that's really a huge thanks to our education director, Kristen Schulte, who's really like taken everything to the next level. But one program that we're particularly excited about is Missouri River Days. So this is a partnership with Columbia Public School Districts here in Columbia, Missouri, where we're based out of, and we are basically the fourth grade field trip. So they come out to spend a day with us on the Missouri River. Last year, well, this year alone, we had over 2,000 students. So when they come out, they go through kind of four different stations. First, they meet a fisheries biologist, and then they take a little turn and do some looking through the eyes of an explorer. So we have some either nature journaling or watercoloring that they can do. Kind of our next station would be a bottomland forest hike to kind of just get like a sense of space. And then, of course, their last station is a Missouri River trip with us, where we really challenge students to think like scientists. So we kind of ask them, what do you wonder? What do you notice? Like, what are you thinking right now? And just kind of get them in that mindset of wanting to think like scientists and really explore their surroundings and ask important questions.
Wow, this is truly brilliant. I got to say this. I feel like we have this sort of obligation to teach the next generations to better engage with nature, get out of their tablets, their cell phones, their online games, and really
Yeah, right.
engage with life, right? So this is truly a great opportunity for them.
Yeah. And it's so important because most of the students who come out, it is their first time on a boat. And, for almost all of them, their first time out on the Missouri River. So it's really great to see like the change from that kind of like scared nervousness look as they walk down the boat ramp to like screaming and cheering when they get back at the boat ramp with us. It's a really great experience.
Well, that's what childhood is about, right? Having
Yeah,
fun,
right.
having adventures with your friends. And I keep wondering about the sense of ownership that they might feel about knowing more about, the animals there are in there, and the nature, the native species, all of this must create
Yeah.
something special in them.
Yeah, during this last fall trip, we were really lucky to have the same blue heron who would like fly across the river as we were boating up, land on one side, and then when we came up with another group of students, it would fly the other way across the river. And that was just a really great experience for those students.
Wow, that's amazing. And well, I'm gonna say that to people, but try to cover some ground here, but do go to their website and check out all of these opportunities that Kevin just mentioned here. You might find photos, you might find actually reasons to encourage your kids to ask for it in their school, right?
Right.
That's all about it. And do give them some feedback about it. If you got in touch with them by social media, do give a shout out to them and tell people, help spread the word about these programs. It's going to be really nice, really important. One more thing that I want to ask you, Kevin, is about the impact. I don't know if you have numbers, but if you could give us an idea of what the impact that you have just made all of those years.
Sure. Yeah. So, 2023 of our 22nd year, the organization was established in 2001. So in that time, we've hosted 210 large scale cleanups. And, these are just the huge equipment based cleanups with, our whole fleet of boats. And in that time, we've picked up over 2 million pounds of trash. So a little over 1,000 tons right now. And that's all with the help of 31,000 volunteers. Our education programs have engaged over 35,000 students and teachers in Missouri River education. And we also hosted over 300 educational river trips as well. Recreation is something we're not new at, but with the acquisition of the MR340, it's really kicked up a notch. Like I said, the longest nonstop river race, covering 340 miles from Kansas City to St. Charles. And was actually named one of the top 100 American adventures by National Geographic. So in 2022 alone, we saw 600 racers from 41 states and some people as far away as Australia to participate in that. Yeah. And then we also have Race to the Dome, which we originally started 14 years ago, and last year we saw about 201 paddlers from 8 states. And Race to the Dome is really designed to get those like beginner paddlers, kind of beginner to intermediate paddlers out on the Missouri River. It's a much shorter race. And of course, for all these races, we're providing, safety boats. And there's just a huge volunteer effort to even make something like on this scale possible. It took about 160 volunteers to put the race on last year for the MR 340. And that's just a week-long program.
Wow, that's really incredible. I'm
Yeah.
really impressed by it. Yeah, and that also got me thinking about the challenges that you might face when trying to organize the whole thing. Because as you just said, it's this big of event, and it's just one thing that you got running. So what do you see that as potential challenges to you now, or maybe for the future?
Yeah, I mean, we're a relatively small nonprofit. We have 8 full-time staff members and 2 AmeriCorps. So it's one of those jobs where, not unlike many other nonprofits, but we all wear many hats in the organization. And our summer months are definitely spent in heavy programming mode, right? We're growing quickly, which is amazing. And of course, with that comes challenges as well. But I think we're all on board and looking forward to the future of what this organization will bring.
Wow, great. And I think now I have to split my question about how people can help, because we're talking community, but we can also talk non-community. But let's address it first. How
Sure.
can folks help you keep going? What is the best way to volunteer, to give you a hand, or even, do what they can in their local areas?
Sure. Yeah. So, in your own local areas on your own, you can always, find a local stream team. Missouri has this wonderful program, Missouri Stream Teams. They support volunteer efforts anywhere in the state who are looking to help with litter removal. So checking them out to help with your local watershed. We're always looking for volunteers that come out to our large scale cleanups. We host 4 a year, typically one in Eastern Missouri, Western Missouri, one kind of centrally located, and then kind of one random one, which will be like our Omaha and Council Bluffs cleanup in 2023. And you can always find volunteer opportunities about that at riverleaf.org. And another way is, if you have a company or a corporation that's interested in sponsoring one of our cleanups, this is one of the ways that, we fuel the organization to handle all of our other programs is event sponsorships, right? So we have a lot of awesome corporations, businesses, foundations, individuals who support our efforts as well. And of course, we show great recognition and thanks during our programs as well for that.
Wonderful. And for everybody else that is not in there, but it's listening to us right now, if they feel connected to the cause, what is the best way to help you keep going?
Yeah, I mean, the best way to help is, find out more about River Relief, protect your own waterways. One thing we try to teach is that, the trash that ends up in the Missouri River, it's often from that trash you see on the street that goes into a storm drain that eventually goes to a creek, to a larger river, to the eventual ocean. Coming out and enjoying the river, caring for it, come and visiting one of our cleanups. And if you're interested, we can talk about donations and things like that. Yeah, just come out and learn with us.
Wonderful. Again, people go to their website, check out what they're doing, check out the best ways to get in touch. It's pretty easy. Again, the website is riverrelief.org. And hey, go help it. Because, I'm in Brazil. We always say that the Amazon River is massively important to the world, and so is the Missouri River. We need to protect our waterways, as Kevin just said. Kevin, thank you so much for joining us. I loved this talk, and I learned a lot from you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
And for everybody else listening, also thank you for joining us for one more episode. And remember, if you like it, press subscribe on YouTube or your podcast app, because that shows the algorithms that this is an important conversation. And then we can spread the word about the importance of the Missouri River relief.